Garner from Blueprint Consulting. Hi, Blue. How
Hi,
you
how
doing?
you guys doing?
Okay, so Blue, we're gonna today basically go over some questions that we have had to ask of the Department of Cannabis Regulation this week. And Blue's been going there. We've hired him exclusively to do our portal mastery, which means basically when we are, well, he's gonna explain what that means. But he also is basically an expert in all things DCR. So this week we had a couple questions. The first question you asked the DCR was about what is the deal for social equity, about what's the level of income that they say is the level we're dealing with. Is it different things? What is it?
So this is the big question that most people have been asking me in all the different fields, from attorneys to financial advisors to CPAs. Um, and it's a really simple question and answer. The question is, who is qualified? There's only one qualification.
For the low income,
The
what's the
total low income qualified is $45,600 per household. That does not include roommates. I mean, it really is a husband and a wife, or a partner and a partner. If you understand that, you understand that.
45,600?
45,600 is the
That's
total
understood.
household income. Take it up with the DCR or go to Allison if you have a dispute with that. But I
It
suggest
is what it is.
45,600 is what it is.
Okay. Question number two. So one of the issues for finding properties that are compliant for cannabis zoning is, one, you have to have it in the right zone, and two, it has to be at least 700 feet away from safety sensitive uses. Is that right?
I use 714 feet just to be a little bit
Well, okay,
buffer.
so all right, so there has to be a
In
buffer zone,
theory,
right?
700.
So this week the question came up, what if you like come up with a deal with, let's say, a school, let's say a private school, and the deal is that if I get my license, you will move your license, meaning that you have like a contract in writing with the private school, saying that they'll move if you move. We went to the DCR this week with that question, and what is the answer to that, Blue? Can you do such a thing, or is
So
that not happening?
basically, what that is, that's a deal that someone's trying to put in place that's contingent on another deal. The best way to explain that is, I moved to phase two license. Then I asked, what do I do with the lease? They said, that's civil. So the lease is a separate mechanism, or legal platform or tool, separate from the license, meaning
The zoning is one thing, and you can't change that.
absolutely. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah. So what? And Blue told me this week basically that he went there and they said they're gonna look and see is the license present, and that's the issue with the zoning. There's no like
Yes.
getting over that. The lease
No.
can't preempt that zoning.
No.
Okay. Now,
No.
other question I had this week, and Blue told me the answer to this too. And this is a complicated one, but basically. The way it works in LA is that you can own up to 49% of three licenses. And then after that, you can only own up to 20%.
No, three is
Oh, is it
33.
33%?
Three is 33. If you own one, and you use your privilege, we're going to call it a priority processing privilege.
Okay.
The word social equity to
Let's
me.
say the investor. Let's talk about this. Say
We're
the word
just going to
investor.
call it an equity investor, or a
Yes.
social equity applicant, which is really a priority privileged person.
Yes.
They get to go into the tier one and tier two rounds.
Why don't you think it's 49%? What if you have three?
It's a fact. The first, if you own one and one exclusively only,
Mhm.
you can. It's 5149, is what is required.
Right.
5149. If you're going to use your ability to do three retail, if you make it through that with the round robin, but you do get three retail, which I'm trying to do myself, then you have to take 33 or less. But they want 33. I suggest.
Well, why do you think that? What's this?
I asked the DCR.
Okay. All right. Well, this is very hot off the press information. This is why, it's good to hire us, because we go to the DC all the time for this kind of news.
I live in the DCR. I'm like their worst enemy, but I think they know I'm trying to give people the free
They're
information.
No, I think you're more of a friend, not an
I'm
enemy.
a friend, meaning I hope they do. I respect Kat, and I respect everybody there at the highest level. They're the people that I trust the most.
So here's my question. Here's the situation. What if you end up getting, like, let's say you apply for like six with various interests, and like three of them are below 20%, and then you end up only getting the three where you're below 20%. Can you later on change that to reflect a higher percentage?
Well, let's remember one thing, that we know that history always repeats itself. And so we know that the city, when it comes to the licensing, At first, you couldn't sell a license. And then phase 2 came up with selling a license. And as me and Allison learned, they gave everybody a chance to sell, no matter what their scenarios. They classified you as tier 3. That told me, as an expert in the law and finance, hey, if you want to get out now. That's what that was, phase 2. Okay? The phase 1 operators, they don't let them out because those guys don't want to get out. They're not complaining. They're running stores and killing it. Now, here we are at round 3. It's you either get serious or you get out of the business, or you rent a license for someone like us. But I do really tell people, start to comply no matter what you do. If you use my company or use Allison,
Well, what do you think about this issue? Can you change your percentage after you get
you
a water
cannot.
license?
What you have to realize, I think laws always change. In theory, whatever percentage you put up now, you're not supposed to change it. It's supposed to be a deal that's in perpetuity at this point, or 3 years if you use past records.
Okay.
But do I think things could change? And in a year they say, hey,
Now you can do it?
you're all tier 3. Yes.
So that's the thing about this, which is very unusual, is that you might hear one thing about what can happen, and then you actually go to the DCR, and all of a sudden there's a form that allows you to like change ownership, and there's no public announcement about that. So that's why it's very important to have people that are really on the ground and on the streets.
It's really, I like to believe, because I hired this great guy who's in the industry who does what I do, which is the compliance, the bookkeeping, the maintenance of your permit licensing. And he said it's kind of like the Skull and Bones or secret society of licensing, meaning you either know or you don't know.
But without the sacrificing, right?
Without all the dirty stuff and all this stuff. But I know Allison would appreciate that, meaning I thought everyone had an advantage like us. He was like, dude, it's like you, me, and a couple other people know what they're doing, plus the best attorneys like Allison, of course.
And it's not really an advantage, it's actually just doing hard work.
It's a privilege. If you really did have the history, it is a privilege, and it becomes a priority processing, which means you get to take place in the final rounds of privileged processing in LA. After that, you will go into an open lottery, and you probably won't be using us, at least not my company. You'll be using Allison at that point to fight for your rights. But I do wish you guys the best of luck. Use Blueprint Consulting. We give a 60-minute free consultation. We want to help people. If you can't afford us, we have programs that are social equity for you guys. We want to see people get the right information, apply it. Use Allison Margolin. She's the best attorney in the city.
Thanks so much. Thanks for coming on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.